In this game, I was playing black against my friend S Chow, who actually recently achieved a rating above 2300, allowing him to claim the FIDE Master title whenever he wants to. I'd been struggling in a worse position for a long time ever since the early opening, but here's another example why dogged defense can earn you extra points, whether it be a draw or very occasionally a win. My opponent here is obviously completely winning with 2 extra pawns in a rook endgame. And here he played king d5. However, he could have won on the spot by playing c6. And the theme here is that if ever black tries to come around to attack the pawn, white can simply cover it by playing his rook to c5. And black will have to waste time again, and white will be able to push his pawn to a queen. So c6 would have won on the spot, and here's just some sample lines. If rook g1, white plays c7, rook d1 check. Obviously, if rook c1, then white plays rook c5. Now king e5, and now rook c1. This is an improved version because now the king doesn't protect the c5 square, so white can't play rook c5. But here king d6 is winning, with the same idea as before, and black is much too slow. Another line would have been king e7, and now white plays rook d5. The point of this move is to cut off the king from the d file. And now it will just be white's king versus black's rook, and white's king will win this easily. Rook g1 c7, rook d1 check, king c5, rook c1 check, king b6, f6. Black can't play anything constructive, and white just plays rook c5, and now the pawn cannot be stopped from queening. But instead in the game, my opponent played king d5 on move 46. This is still winning, but it is quite a bit slower. And here I continued rook d3 check, king c6, king e7, king c7, rook d4. My main chances in this game is to use both the king and the rook to stop the c6 pawn, the c pawn, sorry, which is obviously the most dangerous. And if I were to stop that pawn, it would give me good drawing chances because white's other 2 pawns are covered by my pawn, at least for the time being. So black plays c6, and here he believes that he can sacrifice this pawn on e4, and his c pawn will still allow him to win, which is actually the correct choice. Black plays rook takes e4, white played g5 to save his other pawn. Now black played rook e1, and now white would win after king c8. But my opponent played the blunder king b6, and this allows my king to come in. And after king d6, if you notice, black is threatening rook b1 check, and this will drive the king away. Or actually, he's not threatening immediately, but if ever white were to try to come around with his rook, then black would be threatening that move, and he would win the pawn. And this is probably what my opponent missed. So the king on d6 is a surprisingly good defender in this situation. Now my opponent played king b7, and here I played rook e7 check king c8, and now I play king takes c6. Probably slightly better line would have been rook e8 check, when white has nothing better than king b7, and then rook e7 check, and this will be a draw by repetition. If ever king b6, black plays rook e1 again, with the same defensive idea as before. Instead I played king takes c6, which makes the game slightly slower. My opponent now played king b8. And now I made a blunder. I should have played rook e6. This move cuts the king off from the e file, which is actually a common theme in these sort of rook endgames. White might play rook f5, black can play king d6, and now all lines lead to a draw. If rook a5, then black has the resource rook e5, and if this exchange is made, the endgame is drawn, because black will win the other pawn. And otherwise, if the white rook moves away, then black will capture the pawn. So that would also be a draw. Now he could also play rook takes f7, but this is a draw as well because black plays rook g6, and now he has twin threats of checkmate on the back rank and taking the pawn, and white can't defend against both, so he'll have to give up his pawn, and it will be a draw. Instead I played rook b7, which was a blunder, and now my opponent blundered as well. He should have played king e8, and after king d6, rook f5. And in this situation, black is too slow. He can't set up that mating tactic as before, because white's king is too far advanced to the king side. And white will play rook takes f7 next and march his pawn to victory. Instead, my opponent blundered with rook f5 immediately, which also looks like a good move, but just by tactical reasons, black is able to draw here. And I'd like to see if you could find the draw, so please pause the video now and consider the best continuation. And there's only one move that draws here. I played the move which didn't draw, or one of the possible moves which didn't draw, but f6 is the amazing move which makes a draw, and it's got similar motifs as to some of the lines I showed before. Okay, so here's some possible lines. If white plays g6, black can play rook g7, rook takes f6 check, king d5, and here black's king is much too close. He'll harass the rook and then capture the pawn, or he'll let the rook capture the pawn, either way. King e8, king e5, rook c6, king f5, and black will capture the pawn next move. Another move would have been rook takes f6 check, black plays king d5. After king e8, actually I believe king d5 was the only move. After king e8, rook g7, rook f5 check, king e6, and again there's a double threat. This is actually the same position as a previous line. Black has the double threat of checkmate on the back rank, assuming it would be checkmate if white accidentally moved his rook along the 5th rank, and he would be putting pressure on the g5 pawn, and this would be a draw. The final line is g takes f6. Now black plays king d6 and another checkmating motif. Black threatens checkmate on the back rank, so white has to defend against that, otherwise he would probably win just by playing f7. But in this case that would lose the mate in one. After king e8, black plays king e6, and again both the rook is attacked and checkmate is threatened. And in fact this is not the best line. White should probably play king c8, but then simply rook f7 followed by king e6 and rook takes f6. It would be a draw. King e8 was inferior. Black plays king e6, attacking the rook and threatening checkmate, so white has no choice but to sacrifice the rook. And now king takes e5, and this is still a draw because white will make a knight. However, it was not necessary to do this. But I missed the amazing move f6, which to my dismay I found using a chess engine after the game. Instead I played rook b8 check, thinking that I was lost, and this is actually the final mistake, and white can nail black's coffin. White plays king e7, rook b7 check, king f8, king d6, rook takes f7. The difference here between the other lines is black is way too slow, and white's rook cuts black off from the f file, so black can never advance past this point. And as we saw in a variation earlier, when it's left to a rook versus a pawn and the king, the pawn and king normally win. So the game continued. Rook b1, g6, king e6, and now white played king g8, rook g1, g7, rook h1, king f8, and now there's no way to prevent white from queening. Should note that rook a1 doesn't do anything because after he makes the queen, white has an escape square now, so there's no checkmate on the back rank, and this endgame will be obviously winning for white. Alright, thanks for watching this video.